The very first of the galaxies that I ever observed and sketched were in Leo last year, M105 and M96. And just to the right of them is Messier 95. For some reason last year I didn't sketch these out. There are a handful, well, actually, I think under a dozen or so Messier objects that I have yet to sketch, and this is one of them. So tonight, M95 was in a good spot in the view up there, about 50 degrees up from the horizon and just east southeast. So passing past the big redwoods in my back deck, and perfect placement for me to get a quick sketch in. At magnitude 9.7 or so, it's not super bright, but the skies were pretty decent tonight, so definitely nice enough to be able to see it. As I'm drawing out the initial star placements here, it was very clear to me that the galaxy was there. It wasn't very easy to make out a whole lot of detail in the start of it, though. To start out placing the stars tonight, after the pencil went in, using the fountain pen with the diluted ink, just because I'm using a higher magnification eyepiece as a starting point, and so all the stars that I'm looking at here in general are pretty faint. So I figured that the diluted down ink would help give a little bit of a lighter overall feel to the stars that I was putting down. In the 10-inch Dobsonian tonight, I've got the Antares W70, the 5.7 millimeter eyepiece in there. It's still, I mean, I've used it half a dozen times now on some of these deeper sky objects, and I've really been enjoying how easily it is to pull out some of these details using it. So spending some time at the eyepiece before diving in to the sketch, and I was really starting to just make out kind of the core, definitely very clearly, but then I would get these faint glimpses of some of the more subtle details kind of surrounding that core as well, which was pretty exciting because, like, okay, there's definitely something here that's more exciting than just a smudge. Um, and so I wanted to kind of just place out the general shaping of the galaxy first, make sure that the scale felt about right, and that the overall kind of like fade off that you get of the arms and that kind of thing felt like it was in the right spot. As I'm layering up these multiple passes of Conte here, I'm generally trying to be very light about placing it down. You can always add more Conte to the page a little bit easier than you can take it away. So just taking my time and being a little bit careful and gentle with placing all of these layers down. Using the backside of the smudge tool and my finger also just helps kind of take a little bit of the Conte off when it feels like there's a little bit too much going on. In general, I don't like using my finger because I feel like it does leave oils behind, but I get lazy sometimes. Turning off the light for a little bit here just to really get my eyes adapted a little bit better, try and make out some of those fainter shapes and spaces. I think that this first time through, I was definitely starting to notice that there were arms of some sort that I could make out. It was definitely totally clear that this galaxy was pretty flat onto us in the view, because it almost felt like perfectly round in its shaping, and there were definitely very clear arcs on the sides. Spending a little more time in the dark here trying to check out a few more things, and I was starting to notice also that there were kind of darker lanes within, kind of circular lanes within. So trying to get that stuff in, I decided to use the back of my pencil, use the eraser on that for a little bit more of a finer detail so that I could try and get some of that shaping in there. Because the larger eraser that I have, just the detail specificity of kind of erasing that stuff out can get a little bit tricky. I may have to invest in some more fine erasers, I think, after this. Beginning to realize that that detailed erasing is really helpful with nebula in particular, but now I'm realizing that it's also pretty helpful in these galaxies from time to time as well. Sketching through here, it felt like I was getting into a place pretty quickly that was pretty accurate to what I was seeing in the eyepiece. And so with just a little bit more refinement of those darker lanes that I was noticing, that was about it. Threw in the directional marker and called it a night for this sketch. Overall, the sketch only took about 13 minutes total to draw through, and I ended a little bit past midnight. I don't think I did a whole lot of observing after that. Maybe, oh, well, according to the notes here, I took a look at M65 and 66. And I think I will be sketching that in the future, and hopefully maybe under the camera as well, I'm not sure.